former champ, Michael Bisping, man. Have you seen the replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine. You already dig what time it is because in this main event or this first matchup for the main card, man, that's what was happening, man. Trevin Giles, his head was bouncing around like a pinball machine, man. It was unfortunate, but this was a big night for UFC debutantes, debutees, whatever you want to call them. And the fighter out of Ecuador, Michael Morales, he just proved again, man, he has explosive power in his hands, explosive power. But this was one of those fights as well where you wanted to see more. You know what I mean? I get it. You got the knockout. And I knew if you were going to win, that was the way for you to win. Didn't think he'd be able to get it done on a Trevin Giles, man, who, let's be honest, I think prior to this fight, Giles had only been stopped like in one other fight. But neither here nor there. Morales got the job done. What impressed you about this performance, given that it was so short, AJ?
Man, even though it was short, what was most impressive to me was that Morales was losing the majority of that fight and still came back and get the KO win, man. The mental fortitude it took to not give up on yourself and to actually stay in the fight. This was a very, very fun fight. Like I said, for the 4 minutes that it lasted. Morales, he very fun. He looks like a brawler, but this dude can get it done in multiple ways. So I think that's what you're talking about when we're saying it was lacking. We wanted a little bit more because Morales is very, very technical. Same thing with Giles. Very technical fighters. It was just a swing fun of a night, man. It was a great fight to actually see. As the first one, I could see why they made it. But what I like most about Morales too, in his shots, he stays long, man. He'll hit you at the end of his punches. He's not pulling anything. He's going for the head. Amazing fight, man. Very, very fun. A little fast, but they get the payday regardless, and it was a good time to watch, especially for the opening night.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that it did serve well as the opening fight for the main card, man. But when we look at the numbers, it is kind of like it tells a little bit of a different story, just because Michael Morales, 26 of 42 strikes, 61% significant strike percentage. Trevin Giles just 8 of 15. So we already know that's kind of the name of the game, though, when we're talking about a Trevin Giles, is that it's power, it's big bombs that he's throwing at you. But is it surprising to see that Morales, just the output was just way higher than Trevin Giles? Even though Giles was the one that was trying to walk down Morales, it almost seemed like I don't know what the reach discrepancy was in this fight, but it almost seemed like he was just trying to chase after him. Like he couldn't quite find that range, So what do you think about that?
Yeah, he really was. Trevin Giles was really trying to pressure down, get on the inside, because I do think there was a reach discrepancy. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but man, Morales, I think what showed right there is this dude was just staying busy, and when the shots landed hard.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the name of the game sometimes, right? What does it mean to you that Michael Morales has now won 10 of his 13 victories via knockout? Like, what does that mean to you? And in terms of predicting success in the UFC, sometimes we love that because we're like, okay, we know what you can do. We know you got those bombs in your hands. But I think he might have like 2 submission wins, 1 decision win, something like that. But does it bode well given, just the fact that he's such a young prospect in terms of the UFC, man? You're going to have to get it done other ways too. It's almost like you want to see somebody come in with those 10 knockouts, but also with like 7 decisions, you know what I mean? And it's tough because as in terms of experience, man, he's only now, 13-0, undefeated. I mean, what more can he ask for? But even an Ilia Topuria or, a Movsar Evloev, their undefeated records are just a little more like, okay, you get it. You don't just knock people out. Like, you're decisioning these people. You're getting it done over the course of 15 minutes. What do you make of that?
I think it bodes well because as we've seen in like the regional divisions and coming up on the way, you need to be the guy that's kind of dominating. But if we take, for instance, a fighter like Michel Paeta, he was doing the same thing, man, knockouts on knockouts on knockouts. And then once he starts kind of hitting that top tier athletic performance that the UFC has, then he's kind of started getting a little bit longer of fights. And we'll talk about him a little bit later, but I think it's the same thing for Morales in this one. The fact that he's doing so well, killing it, that we're going to need to see a little bit more from him. But if you watched his Dana White Contender Series debut, he had a scrap, man. He had a dogfight that made him go to the 3 rounds. And sure, it was only 3, it was 15 minutes, not the 25 like we'll see in the championships. But either way, he stayed true the entire time. He has good wrestling. He has good ground game. He can do those things. It's just he's knocking people out. So I kind of like him, man. I think it bodes well for him. I think he's going to do good in the future. We need to see him up against stiffer competition here in the beginning. And even that comment right there, man. Trevin Giles is stiff competition. So if we need to see
Absolutely.
something more from Morales, I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching this dude come up in the UFC and grow as a fighter as he's going to, man. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree with you. Trevin Giles is a incredible, incredible piece of competition right there, and to get that man in your UFC debut is absolutely by no means an easy task. However, the one caveat, like I said, Giles, he did drop down to welterweight for the first time in his career in this fight, so had a little bit of an advantage right there. Just because, I don't know, maybe the weight cut affected him. I don't want to make excuses. He lost. That's just what it is. Last question that I have for you. What do you think about the prospect of Michael Morales putting on for the country of Ecuador? Previously, Chito Vera was really the only guy that you really saw, like, proudly being like, yeah, Viva Ecuador, all that good stuff, man. But for Michael Morales, he was representing Mexico and Ecuador, which was interesting, man. So shout out to Latin America right there. But I just wonder, are we going to get another great hope for the country of Ecuador? Do you think this man could be that hope?
Yeah, man, I think so. I think, and I like that he's staying proud, man. I
Mm-hmm.
went down and visited Ecuador for a month, man, back in college, and those dudes are proud people, just
Mm-hmm.
like any other Latin American, Mexican, Spanish, anybody from another country that comes in. You can tell they got a lot of pride, and I like that Morales is the next one coming up for Ecuador. 'Cause there's
Yeah.
some scrappers down there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So big win for Michael Morales, man. We can move on to the next one, but not to be understated. Very, very big win.